Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got a stack of really compelling sources today, and we're going to distill the most, well, powerful nuggets for you. Today, we're really getting into the psychology, maybe the spirituality of limitation.
Right.
We're looking at sources arguing pretty strongly that the main barrier to, success or abundance isn't external.
No, it's internal. It's the belief system we hold on to.
Exactly. So our mission today is to understand how these self-imposed limits block what the sources often call blessings.
And what jumps out right away when you look across these teachings is this really core idea. Your beliefs aren't just like influencing things.
Okay.
They're actually structuring your reality, your perceived reality anyway.
So I doubt myself.
If you doubt your potential, your worth, you basically build these mental walls unconsciously.
Walls that feel completely real.
Absolutely solid. Even though they don't physically exist, they feel real because, well, you've accepted them as true.
Wow. Okay, that completely shifts the focus, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Away from blaming, I don't know, circumstances.
Yeah, and towards recognizing the power of your own internal story.
Oh, what's the key then? According to these sources, how do you start taking down that wall?
It comes down to recognizing a kind of foundational truth, an inner truth.
Okay.
The sources keep bringing up that old saying, know the truth and the truth shall set you free.
Right. I've heard that.
But the truth here isn't some big cosmic secret. It's simpler. It's just the stark realization that the only limitations that truly hold you back are the ones you've put on yourself, whether you did it consciously or just, habitually.
And just knowing that is the first step.
Internalizing it, yeah. That's the beginning of self-liberation, according to these texts.
Okay, let's unpack this idea then. Internal transformation as the universal key. Because you're right, this isn't exactly a brand new idea.
Not at all.
Our sources trace this exact concept across, well, really diverse ancient traditions, which is fascinating.
It really is. It suggests it's maybe more like a universal law, not just a fleeting philosophy.
Right.
If you look at the wisdom pulled together in these texts, there's this undeniable thread. Internal change has to come before external results.
Okay, give us an example.
Well, think about the Christian scriptures. There's that powerful line from Jesus. If you believe, all things are possible to him who believes.
Believing is the key.
Exactly. The potential to do the impossible, even move mountains. It's not based on having power or money or status.
It's conditional.
Only on the degree of belief. Belief itself is presented as the mechanism, the thing that unlocks potential.
That really puts belief, that internal conviction, way above just like physical effort or having the right resources.
It does. And you see a similar idea, this need for internal alignment in the Koran.
Okay.
It says, indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves.
So change starts within the individual first.
Right. It grounds transformation, whether personal or for a whole community, in self-reflection, in fixing your inner state first.
You adjust internally before the outside world shifts.
That's the idea. You can't expect the outer world to change if you haven't changed inwardly.
And I thought the perspective on wealth was really interesting too, in this context.
Oh, yeah. The Talmud reference.
Right. It completely reframes prosperity. It's not about accumulating stuff.
No. The question is posed, who is rich?
And the answer?
He who is content with what he has.
Which just flips the whole goal, doesn't it?
Completely. If you think abundance is just about stacking up assets, well, you're always stuck in scarcity mode, right? Believing you don't have enough.
Always lacking something.
But if richness is an internal state, contentment, then that feeling of lack vanishes. Instantly.
Because you're already whole.
You're already sufficient. And paradoxically, that state of being content is what seems to open the door to attracting more.
So the consensus is clear. Real abundance, the sustainable kind, it starts inside, with belief.
Yes, that's the through line.
Okay, so if the potential is supposedly infinite, and we have these inner resources, why do we build those walls you mentioned earlier?
Good question.
What are the specific things inside us that create the blockage?
Well, the sources point mainly to two things, doubt and fear.
Okay.
And they tend to show up as very specific limitations we put on ourselves. The texts highlight three big ones.
Which are?
First, the fear of failure, just being terrified of not succeeding.
Relatable.
Second, the fear of judgment. What will other people think? That can be paralyzing. And third, fear of the unknown. which often is really a fear of the changes that success itself might bring into your life.
Right. So these aren't like actual locked doors out there.
No, they're beliefs you've accepted, beliefs that just put a ceiling on what you think is possible for you, a self-imposed ceiling.
And this is where the sources bring in the teachings of, let me get this right, the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood, SAB.
That's right, the SAB. Their teachings seem designed specifically to address these kinds of adult fears and limiting beliefs directly.
Okay, maybe just give us a little context on the SAB for listeners who might not be familiar.
Sure. So as they're described in these materials, the SAB is presented as a kind of modern spiritual school.
Okay.
And what they do is synthesize ancient wisdom, like the scriptures we just talked about, into, well, practical methods, actionable techniques for achieving internal mastery.
Taking these deep concepts and making them usable.
Exactly, making them operational. For instance, they radically reframe the idea of the kingdom of heaven.
So.
It's taught not as, some place you go after you die,
Right.
but as a state of mind you can achieve right now, an elevated state of being, accessible here in this moment.
So shifting your internal world.
From living in fear and scarcity to living in, well, possibility and certainty, it's an internal paradigm shift.
But that sounds hard, letting go of all the baggage we collect as adults, the comparisons, the failures.
Oh, it is challenging, no doubt. And that leads right into the SAB's second key teaching here.
Which is?
The need to cultivate a childlike mind.
Okay, like become as little children.
Precisely. The sources argue the adult mind is just heavily conditioned by society, by past failures, by every time someone told us no. We remember all that negativity.
Yeah, we do.
Children, though, especially very young children, they often have this pure, unshaken faith in themselves, in possibilities. They don't constantly question if they can achieve something or if they deserve something.
They just expect it.
They just expect it. So the transformation involves consciously working to shed those adult layers of doubt, fear, conditioning.
And getting back to that state of pure expectation.
That's where they say true abundance actually resides, in that state.
Okay, but how do you do that? Practically. If I'm, say, trying to start a business, I feel like I need my critical, analytical, adult brain.
Right.
But these sources are saying be childlike. Isn't there a conflict there between being mature and analytical and having pure faith?
That's a really important point, and the sources seem to make a distinction.
Okay.
The childlike mind isn't about being naive or stupid. It's about operating without the limiting self-doubt.
Oh.
So you keep your analytical skills, you use your mature brain to plan the how-to, the execution. That's the chopping the tree part we'll get to.
Right.
But the underlying belief, the axe itself, that has to be sharp. It has to be certain about the positive outcome. You eliminate the I can't possibly succeed narrative, even while you analyze the challenges.
I see. So maintain the analysis, but ditch the self-sabotaging doubt.
Exactly. Keep the maturity, lose the limitation.
Okay, this leads us perfectly into where this philosophy becomes really practical. Strategy, almost. And this is where we get that really powerful insight from Grandmaster Waxhira, the founder of the SAB, right?
That's the one. Yes.
And I have to say, this particular piece of advice feels, well, extremely counterintuitive, especially today.
It goes against the grain, doesn't it? The whole hustle culture thing.
Completely. The idea that action, more action, is always the answer.
Right. This is a radical shift in priority. Grandmaster Waxhira's core teaching is very direct.
What is it?
Spend 90% of your time sharpening the axe of your belief and the rest on chopping the tree.
90% on belief.
Yeah.
Only 10% on the actual work.
That's the formula presented. The analogy really highlights how inefficient most modern effort is.
How so?
Well, think about it. We see people everywhere, maybe you listening included, just relentlessly chasing goals, the tree.
Nonstop action. Grinding.
Exactly. Putting maybe 90% of their energy into that external effort, that chopping.
And here's the catch. Their axe is dull.
Their axe is dull. They're fighting against their own internal limitations, their doubts, their fears.
So all that effort, it's exhausting and doesn't get them very far.
Precisely. Trying to chop down a big goal with a dull axe, a weak, uncertain belief system that's always questioning itself, it makes the work incredibly hard. You're fighting the friction of your own doubt.
You could chop forever and barely make a dent.
Right. You exhaust yourself.
So the real work, the effective work, isn't the external grind.
No, it's the internal work. Maintaining certainty. Sharpening that axe.
Okay, but what does that 90% sharpening actually involve? according to the sources. It can't just be wishful thinking, right?
Definitely not just thinking happy thoughts. It's described as a focused methodology.
Yeah.
A deliberate reprogramming of the mind.
Okay.
It's the work of actively dissolving those old limiting beliefs we talked about. The sources mention a few key techniques.
Like what?
Well, first, consistent visualization, spending real, focused time picturing the end result already achieved, not dwelling on the obstacles or the messy middle part.
Training the mind to accept it as done.
As inevitable, yeah. Second, aggressive reprogramming through affirmation.
Okay, more than just repeating positive phrases.
Much more. Using specific, targeted language designed to overwrite those core fears, failure, judgment, the unknown, replacing them with certainty, self-acceptance, confidence.
Got it.
And third, maintaining the elevated state. This sounds like ongoing work. Consciously monitoring your internal state all day long.
Catching yourself when you slip back into doubt.
Exactly. Making sure you stay in that childlike state of pure, positive expectation as much as possible. And correcting course immediately when limiting thoughts creep in.
To focus time on belief removal. That's the 90%.
That's the real heavy lifting, according to this perspective.
And it makes a lot of sense, actually, because when that inner foundation is solid, when your belief is like razor sharp, then the 10% action, the chopping, it probably feels almost effortless and super effective.
Because your inner world and your outer actions are finally aligned. You're not fighting yourself anymore.
No more internal friction.
That alignment is everything. The action you take when you know you'll succeed feels totally different and is totally different from action taken when you're riddled with anxiety.
And the idea is that reality, the universe, just sort of reflects that certainty back.
That's the principle. It mirrors the strong belief.
Okay, so let's bring this all together. What does this mean for you, the person listening right now?
Well, I think the big takeaway is that next level you're aiming for, that next blessing or success.
Yeah.
It's probably not locked behind needing more money or the perfect connection or more time.
It's locked behind a belief.
A false belief you're currently holding on to about yourself or what's possible.
So the path forward starts with looking inward.
Yes. The sources outline a clear process. Step one is that crucial self-examination.
Being really honest with yourself.
Brutally honest. About your internal chatter, identifying the specific limiting beliefs, the dull spots on your axe that are holding you back.
But here's a question. When we talk about, quote, aggressively rejecting the narrative of what is not possible, how do you avoid just falling into denial, like toxic positivity where you ignore real problems?
That's a really important distinction to make, and the sources seem to differentiate.
Yeah.
It's not about ignoring facts or denying challenges exist. That's the analytical maturity we keep.
Right.
It's about rejecting the personal limitation you impose on your ability to handle those facts or overcome those challenges.
So acknowledge the obstacle, but reject the idea that you can't beat it.
Exactly. You see the mountain, but you refuse to accept the belief that you can't climb it or move it, metaphorically speaking.
Okay. So step one, identify the limiting belief. Step two is
consistent reprogramming, sustainable effort. You have to choose deliberately to focus your mental energy, that 90%, on possibility, on maintaining that strong, elevated state of belief.
it have to be consistent.
That's the key stressed in the sources. Consistency is what rewires the brain, replacing those old pathways of doubt with new ones built on conviction.
And the outcome, if you do this work consistently.
The promise, as laid out here, is pretty profound. It's almost mechanical. The universe, or just reality, will inevitably start to mirror this new, powerful belief system back to you.
Translating inner certainty into outer results, opportunities showing up.
Yeah. The core teaching is really stark. Your ability to achieve isn't usually the problem. The belief that you can't is the only real obstacle.
Wow. So we've seen this thread from ancient texts right through to modern methods like the SAB, that real transformation isn't about chasing external things, permissions, resources.
No, it's fundamental internal work, a radical revision of what you believe is possible for yourself, a conscious choice.
And if that's true, if abundance, success, blessings, if they really are internal states of being first, and the only real limitations are the ones we put on ourselves.
Yeah. The big question becomes,
What false belief, what limiting story about your own potential, your own worthiness are you holding on to right now that you could actually choose right this second to just dismantle, to discard?
that is the essential work, isn't it?
Definitely food for thought. Thank you for diving deep with us again today.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time.